Alright, what's up you guys? Okay, my eye is watering. Why does this always happen before videos? I will never understand. Okay. In position, let me get level with you guys. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be a little different from any of my videos, and what is very popular right now, everybody's doing story times. At first I thought the idea was absolutely crazy, but I could see, you know, why people do story times, you know, for the legitimate reasons. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes they're informative, and different things like that. So this is going to be a little mix. So as you guys know, I am currently 19 years old. My 20th birthday is quickly approaching. I will be 20 in November. Almost forgot my birthday. That's what happens when you have a kid so close to your birthday. All you think about is their birthday, so you kind of forget about yours. A lot of people didn't know that I had turned 19. I mean, obviously, it's been a year, just about, but a lot of people didn't know when I was turning 19 because I just didn't want to really celebrate this year and things like that because I had had my son 2 weeks before, and just 19 isn't a very, 20 is not even a very excited age. But the only reason why I'm excited for turning 20 is because I will no longer be labeled as a teen parent. Hate that. But with that being said, also when I posted my labor and delivery video, you know, being 18 and pregnant, a ton of people, of course, congratulated me, said that they were happy for me, complimented Dominic and how cute he was and how precious and all this and that. But you always know, especially being in the YouTube, social media world, you're going to get the, where's his dad? What's his dad look like? Where's your boyfriend? Where's your husband? Are you married? Are you engaged? Blah, da, 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 da. I also started wearing an engagement ring, which I don't even want to go into that, but it turned into also that I was wearing it because of where I work and things like that. I work in a corporate office, in a corporate world, and it's just little things like that. And it's kind of like my don't approach me ring. So then everybody thought, oh, are you with his dad? And, da, 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 and that just stirred up a whole bunch more. But today's video is going to be how I got pregnant at 18. Little backstory here. My mom actually was pregnant with me at the same exact age. Like, my birthday is November 12th. Dominic's due date was November 5th. So you guys can see, like, my mom, I think my mom's due date with me was Halloween. Don't quote me on that. I was supposed to come on Halloween, and I guess I didn't. I was born on the 12th. I think my mom was induced, but I don't know all those details. She never told me. So I probably should have, like, called her before this video, like, Mom, how was I born? But I definitely know that I was conceived in February. That's, like, the details that I have. And Dominic was also conceived in February. So you guys can only imagine. And my mom's birthday is November 16th. So it's just Scorpios all around. My aunt and I share the same birthday, November 12th. My aunt is the oldest. My mom is the baby. Or no, my mom is the middle child. Okay. My mom is the middle girl. It's my aunt, my mom, my uncle. My aunt was born November 12th, the same day as me. My mom was born November 16th. And then my uncle. And then my mom had me November 12th. And then pregnant with Dominic. Due date was November 5th. So you guys can kind of see the pattern. My mom was pregnant with me at age 18. Obviously turned 19 a week after having me. So we were in the exact same boat. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about my mom other than she had a rough time and always advocated for me to obviously not fall in those same footsteps. She wanted me to go through with school. She wanted me to graduate. She wanted me to get a college degree. She wanted me to be, you know, self-sufficient. And I would say personally, it hasn't been the easiest, and my mom and I haven't had the greatest relationship, but I definitely feel like I'm making her proud in that sense because I did graduate. I graduated high school when I was 4 months pregnant, while also completing my freshman year of college. I technically skipped a grade, but I didn't have a high school diploma, which that's a whole separate video for a different day. But I still have my foot in the door when it comes to college, and technically, for me, stepping away from school at the moment, I'm still going to be on track with where I would have been if I didn't start early. So, in a sense, I'm not technically behind. I can graduate early if I work my tail off, of course, but I'll be on track as if I never left school, which is a blessing. And of course, with getting within a new job, I definitely want to secure my job and get back into a leadership role before proceeding. That's a whole different video. So, anyways, back to the details. My son's father and I had a very, I don't even know like what really to say, because we don't, let me just put it in words right now, we don't speak. And when I found out I was pregnant, I did not know that he was dating somebody else. And that's kind of how it's been. He was always dating somebody else. So, I didn't know that. And when I found out I was pregnant, I see why people get so choked up on these story time videos. Like, goodness. When I found out I was pregnant, I had gotten into a fight. Don't even want to go into details about that, but I had gotten into a fight and I thought that I broke my hands. And I went to the emergency room to get x-rays. And while doing that, I had noticed that his dad hadn't wrote to me or anything like that, wasn't really like saying anything to me after the last time that we had saw each other. So, and it was weird because we had saw each other 2 times that week. And this was later in February. So this was at the end of the month of February, and we had saw each other at the beginning of the month. And me being me, I wasn't going to reach and extend out like, oh, hey, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, like, you didn't say anything back to me. I'm just going to go my own way. So, I got into a fight, went to the emergency room or whatever. And I had just felt weird. I didn't think I was pregnant because here's the plot twist. I was on birth control. And I had been on birth control for a very long time. I had been on birth control since I was 15 years old. My mom put me on to try to control my periods and things like that because we have a whole bunch of issues when it goes down to that, like long periods, painful periods, ovarian cysts. My mom had cancer. We have it all. So my mom put me on birth control very early to try to regulate my periods, and it did nothing. So I had been consistently taking a pill every morning, same time, all of that. I think I'd only missed 1 pill in my life, and that was when I was like 17. But I'd even adjusted birth controls and everything like that. So my birth control was never an issue. I did not know that birth control has a 1 in 10 failure rate. But even with birth control, whenever I was participating in intercourse, I was always using a second contraceptive, you know, to protect myself. And we use condoms. Now, as to how Dominic made his way here, I'm not necessarily sure, which also leads into what I was saying. So, I didn't think that I had anything, but I also wanted to be checked because as women, and a lot of people don't talk about this, and I don't want to get shamed or anything like that, but as women, it's very embarrassing to go and get checked, but it's something that we have to do because you cannot trust people these days. I'm just going to leave it at that. You cannot trust people these days, and I have my suspicion, and I'm happy that I went through with that. I got checked. She came back, and of course, if anybody has been checked, you'll know that only some of the results come back instantly, and then everything else you have to send off like for a culture and things like that. So my STDs tests, or STIs is the correct saying now, everything came back negative. But she came back and told me that I had that I was pregnant, and that was off of a P test. And I said, oh no, mind you, this is after I got my X-ray. I said, oh no, there's no way. I was calm. I was very calm, which was surprising. I was by myself, but I was very calm. And I said, there's no way. Like, I take the pill. Here's my birth control, and we practice safe sex. So there's no way. There's just no way. And she said, the doctor said, well, we have another test. We could do a blood test, but like the P test is correct, you know. And I was being stubborn. I did not want to believe it because there was just no way. There was no way. Also, I had taken a Plan B just to protect myself also. So I had taken the Plan B February 10th, the same day as the last time that we had intercourse. So which I don't even know why I did that. I'm a very scared person. I always want to protect myself. Like, this is just kind of hard because it's really personal, but I always protect myself, and I just wanted to make sure, because I was supposed to, I had just gotten off of my period too. So I did take a plan B same day and technically 2 days after. So it should have saved it, because you're supposed to take it within 72 hours. And I had taken it technically within 48 hours and instantly after the last time that we had had intercourse. So I should have been good, you know, you would think, right? Right? Birth control pill, kind of, and a plan B. So I'm pretty sure based off of that plan B, I'm pretty sure I got pregnant off of the first time that we had intercourse, the first time earlier in that week, because it doesn't make sense for me to have gotten pregnant after that. Now, leading into that, when she came back and did the blood test, it told me, like, okay, like, you're around 3 to 4 weeks, like, we don't really have an accurate result. I can't give you, like, an estimated due date until, you know, like, you were to get an ultrasound, and your first one would be a vaginal ultrasound at 7 weeks. And I'm just like, what the heck? Like, I have to wait all of this time. So then that's when I started to freak out. And I just remember I felt like my heart was sinking, because I didn't know what to do. I was still in school. I didn't have a high school diploma in my hand, which it wasn't hard to get my diploma because, like I said, I was in college. So it wasn't hard to graduate. But I had finals coming up, you know, in May. And it was hard. And the only thing that I could think of was I did not want my mom to be disappointed in me. That gets me choked up thinking about that. Did not want my mom to be disappointed in me. And I was living with my grandfather at the time, and I didn't want him to be disappointed in me either, you know? Like, my grandfather is my rock, and it was just very embarrassing. It was very embarrassing at first. And my grandpa had actually texted me and asked me where I was, and I told him that I was still at the emergency room because he knew about the fight and that I was getting, you know, my hands checked and everything like that. And I told him, I have something to tell you, but I'm really scared to tell you, because I just always, my grandpa and I are like this. And he texted me back, and he just knew. He said, are you pregnant? And I wasn't going to beat around the bush. I said yes. Mind you, this is like 1 o'clock in the, this is at like 1 o'clock in the morning. My grandpa's usually not even up that late. And he texted me back and says, you know, I can't handle this burden by myself. You need to talk with a woman. I don't care if it's nanny. I don't care if it's your mom. I don't care if it's your aunt, my nini. You have to talk with somebody, because I can't handle all of this by myself. And we'll talk in the morning. Like, come home, go to bed, we'll talk in the morning. So the doctors came in and they discussed options, of course, adoption, abortion, keeping, prenatal care, things like that. And it was too much for me to deal with at one time. I also told my best friend Kaylee. I had texted her and told her, and Kaylee was excited. And Kaylee's first initial reaction was, I'm going to be a godmom. Kaylee was over the moon. And Kaylee gave me reassurance. Kaylee said, it's scary. It's very scary. A lot of cuss words were exchanged. But you can do it. And that was my reassurance. I'm not going to lie. That was my reassurance, because I didn't know what I was going to do. So the next morning, that was on February 29th when I found out. So March 1st, I sat down, I talked with my grandpa. My grandpa told me that he wanted me to go around and he wanted to tell everybody. I wanted to tell my family first before I told him, before I told Dominic's dad. So I called my mom the next morning. I told her I needed to sit down, I needed to talk. Told her she wasn't going to be happy about it. She said, is it going to be something that I might want to smack you for? I said, yes. And she said, well, I think it's best that you tell me over the phone. I said, I can't tell you over the phone. And she said, oh my God, you're pregnant. And I started busting out into tears, and it was just a very emotional conversation. I was driving. I think I did pull over my car eventually, but I was talking on the Bluetooth. But, not on a Bluetooth, but on a speaker, because my car was like, at the time. But I pulled over the car and I told her, like, yes, I'm pregnant. I found out last night. I don't know how, you know, I was being safe, and I really don't know how. And my mom basically said, like, abortion. Like, she didn't say that I had to, my mom's exact reaction, I will never forget these words, and I didn't want to say it, but like I have to, you know, for the point of the video. But my mom started busting out into tears, and my mom never cries. It means a lot when my mom cries. It either means she's extremely happy or her world has just crashed. It's one or the other. There is no in between. My mom is not a sensitive crier. My mom is not a sensitive person. And she said, "Oh, Kayla." And she told me, she said, "I know you can do it. And I'm very disappointed. But, you know, like, we can get through this." And she asked me if I was comfortable, you know, with having an abortion. I told her, like, I can't. I can't. Like, I just feel it in my bones, like I can't. And she told me, you know, some personal things and just tried to, like, level head me. And abortion was the least of what I wanted to think about. The least. So I also went and I sat down and I told my grandma. My grandma was ticked. Oh, goodness. My grandma was... Woo! We didn't speak through a good portion of my pregnancy just because of that. And I was a very hormonal, very dramatic pregnant person. My pregnancy is such a blur, honestly, to be completely honest. That's why I can remember these very first moments and I can remember the last. But in between, I have a very difficult time remembering because I felt like I was a completely different person within my pregnancy. Like, pregnancy made me a different person, and it was not for the best. I was very, very emotional. I was very sensitive. I was very dramatic. I was a little crazy. Just a little crazy. Yeah, my grandma was ticked. And she was extremely disappointed, and the first question everybody was saying was school, and what are you going to do, and what's this person think, and what's that person think, and blah, 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 and then everybody was talking about Dominic's dad, and so that was March 1st. March 2nd, I texted his dad, and I told him, I'm pointing back here because Dominic's asleep on my bed, taking a nap. I texted his dad, and I said, we need to talk, or no, his dad actually texted me, and said, let's go get breakfast. And I said, we need to talk, because I did not want to see him in person. And my mom also, she called my grandma, and she wanted to go to Planned Parenthood to make sure, like, I was pregnant, because she just didn't believe, like, off the hospital results. I told her I went to the hospital, like, I didn't just pee on a stick, but she wanted her way, and I had no choice but to follow. So her and my grandma, they both took me that following morning. We actually went before I had texted Dominic's dad. So... of course, Planned Parenthood came back and told me I was pregnant. My mom wanted me to discuss my options, and I told them that under no circumstance I did not want an abortion, and I wanted to go through with my pregnancy. And they confirmed that I was 5 weeks, or I was 4 weeks. They confirmed that I was 4.5 weeks, because 5 weeks is when you can start to hear the heartbeat, and that was a week later. So yeah, I was 4.5 weeks. My mom was just like, this is just impossible, like, this is, no, da da da. So yeah, that was difficult. So I texted his dad, and I told him we needed to talk. Obviously breakfast was out of the way because I had texted him after the fact. And I just told him, like, I haven't heard from you in like 2 weeks. And he was just saying, like, yeah, like, I've been extremely busy and all this and that. It was just all lies and crap. So, he wanted to meet, so we met at this grocery store or whatever, like, out towards him, because I had moved far away, like, in Ohio. So we met, like, at this local grocery store or whatever that was out in his area, like, where I used to live. And it was, like, I want to say it was, like, 9. And my grandpa told me, like, he did not want me to talk to him. My Nana knew, but her and I hadn't discussed it yet. Mothers always know. Mothers, grandmothers, aunts. If you're a mom, you always know when somebody else is pregnant. I don't know what that gift is, but you just have a sense, and your sixth sense is your pregnancy sense. You know when somebody else is pregnant. So my grandma knew but didn't say anything. But my Nana and my grandpa, like, wanted me to have absolutely nothing to do with him, just because of everything that I had went through with my mom and my dad. You know, they did not want a repeating thing. So I met up with his dad. We went, we talked, and he couldn't believe it either. And just kept saying, like, it wasn't possible. He was texting me off of fake numbers and things like that because he didn't want he didn't want to be a dad. He didn't want his name involved or anything like that. And that's what I had went to talk, because I didn't want to force him to be a parent when he wasn't ready. And he kept trying to tell me why I wasn't ready, and just kept pushing for abortion. I actually have the video conversation recorded. I don't want to show it because I don't like profanity on my channel. and there is a lot of it on there, and it's just too personal. I just don't want to show it, but I have it all on video, so I do remember this conversation very vividly. So he told me he wanted me to have an abortion. He said that he didn't want to be a dad, and I told him I literally will not put you on child support if you just exit your way right now. As a parent, I have to sit down and I have to have a conversation with you because this is your child also. He never tried to deny Dominic at first or anything like that. He just didn't want to be a dad. He didn't want to be a father. He wanted absolutely nothing to do with me, and he was just done. And it was a reputation thing. He didn't want everybody else to be in his business, and you know, I could understand that. I didn't want to just because I was pregnant, I didn't want to go and just announce like, hey, I'm pregnant, and I'm pregnant with his baby. And that's what he was picking up off of it. Like I had trapped him. Like I didn't trap you. that's a first reaction. It's either it's not mine or you trap me. Like I feel like people forget when they sit down and as adults they sit and have intercourse. Like they forget what they're getting themselves into, that you have the potential risk of getting an STI or getting somebody pregnant or getting pregnant. That's a risk of sex. That's just, it's a part of life. I don't know why people are missing that key detail out of, you know, sexual education, but that's what happens. There's no other way basically around it, and clearly not with contraceptives. And that's all he kept saying. I use condoms, I use condoms, I use condoms. You said you were on the pill and you lied and da-da-da-da and you trapped me and blah, blah, blah. Like, no. I was on the pill, here's, you know, and I showed him the paper saying that I was pregnant and things like that because he thought I was lying about it to trap him to want to be with him and things like that, and it wasn't like that. I didn't want to be with him. I didn't. I just, I'm just telling you that you're going to be a dad. And so we ended the conversation with, I was sitting in his car. I got out of his car and I went to go get to mine. He came up to my car, told me to get back in his car, and I told him no. He took the paper or whatever, like saying that I was pregnant, and he held on to it. I don't know what he ended up doing with it, but he held on to the Planned Parenthood paper. And we weren't like wrestling towards the door, but it was a more of like, get off me, no come here, get off me, no come here type of action. And I got in my car. So then he got in my car on the passenger side. I told him get out of my car, blah, 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 blah. Because he didn't understand how serious I was being, to where you don't want to be a dad. Cool, that's all I needed from you. I want to go and I want to do my own thing and raise my child. Get out of my car, please, and get out of my life and don't speak to me again. That's, you know, the only point of what this conversation was going to be. It's either you're here or you're not. I do not want an in and out father in my child's life. And he wouldn't get out of the car. So this is going to sound this is what I was telling you guys of how I was just a little bit crazy. I acted like I was, you know, it was bad. So he got out of the car, told me I was crazy, and he took my phone. He took my phone and got in his car and he sped off. So I was just, such a petty situation, like just very petty. So I was trying to get back because I didn't know how to get back to where I was living at the time with my grandparents. I didn't know how to get back from where I was. So at first I wasn't like chasing him. Like we weren't on like a speeding race or anything like that, but I had followed him. And he was flicking me off and he was showing off my phone and all this and that and whatever. So I said forget it. So I turned my car around, made a U-turn, and I just said forget it. So I was driving down like this other street or whatever, and I got pulled over. I was speeding. I wasn't speeding excessively. Like I think I was only going like 10 miles over the speed limit. I mean, still it requires a ticket. But the officer pulled me over and he said, "Hey, do you know this gentleman behind me?" It was Dominic's dad. And it was Dominic's dad, and he said, "Do you know this gentleman behind me? Like, he says he has something of yours." He kind of briefly, you know, told me, like, you guys just found out you're going to be parents, and I know, like, it's a lot to deal with, and he's kind of freaking out. You just got to give him time. And I told him, like, I don't want to give him time. I just want my phone back, sir, and I just want to go home. I don't want nothing to do with it anymore. So my son's dad walked up to the window and, like, because the officer said, like, I don't know if he wants to give you back your phone or if he wanted me to. Let me go back and talk to him. And that's when he came up to my window and like were pulled over on like the side, actually right in front of the grocery store from where I had turned and went back around. It was like a loop. And he came up and he said that he was sorry, and he told me that we would talk about it, and he just kept apologizing. So we hugged it out, went on about our day. Night. So I went back home. The next morning he texted me and asked me how much my grandfather could give me for an abortion off a fake number. And it's just like we were right back to it. And I told him that I was just over it and all this and that. He had his grandmother say that she wanted me to have an abortion too, and that he just wasn't ready for a baby. And I just did not want to hear any of that. I was going to have this child regardless. I didn't want to hear any of that. It was my choice. And I know that there are going to be some people that comment underneath and they'll say, well, he's a parent too. It's a part of his choice. Your choice was when you laid down and you had sex. It's not a choice once you find out that you were having a life. It's your choice from when you originally consented to intercourse that you are at risk of having a child. It's a fact of life. So I was going to go through with my pregnancy, and nobody was going to tell me anything else about it. And every person that doubted me and things like that, I said that I would pull it all together and I would make a great outcome for my son or for my daughter. Now, he went to the first initial appointment. So it was a couple weeks after. So at this time I was 6 weeks. No, I was 7 weeks pregnant, but I think they mixed up my due date. So I was actually 6 weeks, but it was when they thought I was 7 weeks. We went to go do blood work, but we thought that we were going to be able to see Dominic's first ultrasound. And he was very upset that that was not the ultrasound, which he didn't want to see the ultrasound. It's very confusing, but he was irritated because it wasn't about the baby. He did not want any appointments other than about the baby. So anything involving me, he did not want to be a part of. So the blood work, he did not want to be a part of it. We met amazing nurses, amazing doctors, and things like that. I found out who, was going to be delivering Dominic and all this and that. And then we had to schedule for the next appointment where we would get to have the vaginal ultrasound to actually see Dominic. So that, like I said, that was a week later. We went to the appointment. He was completely rude the entire time, and it just wasn't what I wanted, and I kind of regret allowing him to go, or not allowing him to go, but telling him about it. And if he didn't want to go, I shouldn't have said, like, oh, please, and da-da-da, and this is our child. Like, I should have never said any of that. I should have just, oh, you don't want to go? Okay. Bye. I should have just let it go. The whole thing was just very disrespectful. I had also contacted his parents because he wasn't going to tell them. And I felt like they had a right to know. So I did contact his parents, and I told them that I was carrying his child. And his dad was very excited about it at first. His parents love their grandchild. I'm going to leave it at that. His family loves their addition. That's all I'm going to say. Now, moving forward, there was a lot of tension, obviously. They didn't know who I was. I didn't know who they were. There was a lot of things that happened during the pregnancy that led to why things are the way that they are now. I went through my entire pregnancy by myself. I formed a really good relationship with his dad. And I sent him over updates and things like that. Sometimes we did have conversations about his dad and, basically why he wasn't there. His dad promised me that Dominic's dad would be there, but he just did not care. He didn't care about when I found out Dominic was a boy. All up until that time, we thought we had a girl name picked out and everything. If he was a boy, we were going to name him after him. We had minor conversations, but when I got to be 4 months pregnant, right? No, not even 4 months pregnant. I found out Dominic was a boy at 9 weeks. So at week 8, so a week later. Oh, see what I mean? Like, I remember all the details, but like as far as like dates and stuff like that, it gets a little confusing. So 7 weeks we had the vaginal ultrasound. A week later, he was already out. We had a chance because then he started claiming that's not my baby. There's no way you could have been pregnant. His dad interrogated me about it too. Like, there's just no way, and the dates just don't add up, and blah, da, 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 and obviously it all adds up. Like, so they wanted a paternity test and things like that. There was an opportunity to get a paternity test while being pregnant. That was not an amniocentesis, like where they put the needle in your stomach. This was through blood work, through chromosomes, to figure out if Dominic had, shoot, what is that called? to figure out if Dominic had any abnormalities. I can't remember the exact thing, but oh, Down syndrome. Duh. It was a test to see if he had any abnormalities because I was a high-risk pregnancy because of I had a huge miscarriage rate and things like that. So I was not supposed to be able to carry Dominic, and not with ovarian cysts and everything like that. I was actually supposed to miscarry. So my pregnancy was extremely difficult. Moving forward, he didn't want to do the paternity test. He didn't want to know what the gender was or anything like that. I don't believe his dad started talking to me until like a week after that, once he had kind of like once his dad had hit his cut. So yeah, I went through my entire pregnancy by myself. I didn't have any support from him. He never went to another appointment. None of that. I went to all of my appointments by myself. Sometimes I would want my mom to go, but my mom had to work, and I went to every doctor's appointment by myself. Every time that I had preterm labor symptoms and things like that, or like when I was in active labor and they had to stop my labor, I was by myself. My mom eventually came and things like that. I passed out at work. I was by myself. Everything was by myself. I found out I had fluid around my heart during my pregnancy, and you just had to deal with it. So his dad kept telling me and reassuring me that he would, you know, be there when the time came to have Dominic. He would be there in the room. Of course, it wasn't going to be any like we were just going to want to be together and things like that, which I knew that. But that he was going to be there when it came time to have his son. I had a set induction for October 29th, the day that I had Dominic, actually. And the reason being was because I had developed cholestasis, where there is a chemical imbalance within the bowels of your iron, and your iron is flowing into your bloodstream, causing you to itch extremely bad. Like head itch, neck itch, shoulders, legs. Oh my god, my legs and my feet used to itch so bad. Like it was really bad. You get really hot in the middle of the night. I had lived by myself, so I didn't have like any help, and I was big old pregnant, and I just had a very difficult time. So work had given me, at the time I was working at Best Buy, work had given me a week prior to having Dominic, since I did have a set induction. They gave me a week off to start my maternity leave. So rather than 6 weeks, I had technically 7 weeks of a maternity leave, a week to prepare and 6 weeks to enjoy. So a couple days before my induction, they had told me like I wasn't dilating. I had a male doctor telling me that I was dilating, and I was dilated at a 2. I had another doctor tell me that I was not dilated at all, I was not effaced, nothing. And that it was going to be pretty scary when it came around to having Dominic, because they were afraid that during the induction that I may not dilate, and without dilation it can call for the amniotic fluid can be draining, and there could be a whole bunch of malfunctions while trying to deliver Dominic that could lead to an emergency C-section. And did I know what I was basically getting myself into? My entire family told me not to be induced, to let it happen naturally, and I did not want to hear any. I was tired. I could not deal with the itching and anything anymore. I just could not do it. My body could not take it anymore. So a couple days before the set induction, I went to that last appointment. I went and I walked around because I knew it was going to be my birthday. I wanted to buy a nice handbag for my birthday. So I walked around Macy's, around the mall, and things like that. I went with my cousin, and we got a lot of walking out, and I'm pretty sure that's what led to me giving birth. The next morning, so I think that was a Thursday, so Friday, October 28th, I woke up around, I didn't sleep the entire night. I was getting my bag ready. I was just so anxious because I only had 2 more days to meet my son. I took my last bump pick and things like that. I didn't know that was going to be my last bump pick, but I kind of had a feeling, but I didn't. You ever know, like, you don't want to get too excited because you don't want to get too excited and then just get that whole feeling just dropped. Just let it sink. I didn't want that to happen. So I was packing my bag, but instead of like making my bed, like I wasn't going to come back home for a couple of days, like I left my bed unmade, and I left the toilet seat up, just like little things, left a towel on the bed, like I wasn't cleaning everything up like I was getting ready to have a baby. And but everything was ready. So I did my hair and things like that, like in the middle of the night, and around 8 a.m. I got my first contraction. And I was so excited, like, oh, hey, this means dilation, like this has to mean dilation, which I had been having. I had a, shoot, what do you call them? Braxton Hicks. I don't know why I can't remember any of these terms. See what I mean by my pregnancy was abler? I had Braxton Hicks contractions, but like these were real contractions, and that's how I knew like these are different. This is what I was waiting for. Like, yes. So I started having actual contractions, but they weren't consistent, so that's where I was getting a little nervous. So then around 10 a.m. they became consistent, and I started taking notes actually in my phone. I think I still have them, matter of fact. I kept taking all of these notes of my contractions, how long they would last for, and I called my mom. My mom told me, like, you know, like, this is the start of the, I put, like, how long they lasted and everything. Don't focus. I went to my mom's house around, like, 1 p.m. after fixing my hair again, and I did, like, my eyebrows. Nothing extravagant. I put on concealer, eyebrows, and that was it, because I was having a baby, okay? I went over to my mom's house. I labored the entire day. I ran to the store, everything like that. My mom kept swearing up and down that I was not in labor, and I kept telling her, Mom, I know I'm in labor. She said, no, I've been through this, da-da-da-da. You know how moms are. I've been through this. I've had 3 of you, and you're not in labor, and I just know. Okay. So, I laid down. My last contraction was at 6:25. I laid down at exactly 6:30. She told me, like, you know, you're going to want to get some rest. So I laid down at 7, not even half an hour. I got hit by a really bad contraction. That's when they start getting really bad. And it just took my breath away. It woke me up out of my sleep. My mom was in the kitchen. She was talking to my grandma and was talking stuff and was like, oh, she's not ready. Da, 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 da. And she's having some minor contractions. So let me just go ahead and summarize this, since this was about how I got pregnant and I already posted my labor and delivery video. But you guys remember through the labor and delivery video, which I'll link that down below. But if I hadn't pushed my mom to take me to the hospital at 9, and mind you, I got my epidural at midnight, my mom wanted me to wait until my stepdad got off of work, which would have been 11. He'd have gotten home at 11:30. We would have been getting to the hospital at midnight. Like, I would have had to have a natural labor, and me and my mom would not be on good terms right now, okay? Because it would have been her fault. So, yeah, we got to the hospital, and I texted his dad, and I got no response, and I didn't blow him up or anything like that. I got no response. I texted his parents. His 2 sisters came, so Dominic's aunties came, and that was it. He didn't come, and you know what? I honestly didn't care. I wasn't hurt or anything like that. I was more so hurt for my son, but I was so excited to meet Dominic. I did not care in that moment. I didn't care until, like, a point like now, like, where I get upset about it. But, you know, it's hard. It's not hard being 19 and being a mom, to me. We're very fortunate within our lives, and I was able to accomplish a lot of things before having Dominic, so that wasn't my concern of being able to parent Dominic by myself. Or to make sure, like, I had it together. I'm more so upset that he's going to grow up and he won't see pictures of us together, and he won't see pictures at all. He won't have any moments he's going to know. Well, there are pictures. He'll know that there's more pictures than time actually spent. And as a young black man, I know that's going to be very hard for him to undergo. But I always... Alright guys, I had to go get some water. I felt a little dizzy. Okay. Going back to what I said. This video is not to bash his dad. It's not to put him out here. It's not to make him look bad or anything like that. One day, my son is going to watch my channel, and I want him to know that he was loved. I want him to know that his mommy was strong. I want him to know all the work that I put in for him. And that's it. Some people are not ready to be a parent, and I can't be upset about that. Now, that's not to say what could happen down the road, but at a time right now, there's a lot more to go in detail about that I personally just don't want to disclose, but yeah. So, no more questions, no more comments of where is his dad and things like that. It's me and Dominic until the wheels fall off. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Contraceptives do not save everything, and Plan Bs are not always effective. I now have an 11-month-old, so yeah, be careful. And a message to my young ladies out here: men will tell you absolutely anything. They will pretend that they are with you and be with 5 other women, or be telling that to 5 other women. I go into a mindset now where I'm not the only one. Like, it's sad that our world has turned into that. It's sad that people can't be trusted. It's sad that social media promotes this behavior. And it's sad that a lot of people have lost respect for themselves and have lost their worth. I honestly feel like Dominic was me finding my worth. That's why you guys haven't seen this tattoo, which I'm going to do. I'm going to do a tattoos and piercings video, but this tattoo is for Dominic. I got it on the inside of my arm. I don't care what anybody has to say negatively about it because I can still cover it. I haven't had any issues with it, but it says, "I got lost in him," and it's the kind of loss that's exactly like being found. The font is very discreet because I want people to ask me what it says, and I want them to feel my emotion of how proud I am to have this tattoo. I love every single one of my tattoos. I don't regret not a single one, but this overall is my favorite tattoo, which I'll link the artist and everything like that down below. And if you guys like this video, thumbs it up for a tattoos and reviews, or tattoos and piercings video, and I'll get that filmed very quickly. But I got lost in him. I got lost in him, and it's the kind of loss is exactly like being found. I found myself with my son. And I went through high school and I was bullied, and through middle school and was bullied, and I had all of these problems. I had anxiety, I suffered from depression, I suffered from self-hate and all of these issues of insecurities, and finding Dominic gave me the most confidence because I knew that I just knew there's just no feeling like laying eyes on my son for the very first time. I had never felt love like that, and I'll never feel love like that for anybody else other than my child. There's just something that just takes over you, and within that moment I knew that I was supposed to be a mom. As young as I am and things like that, I knew that I was meant to be a mom. I was meant to be a mother to such a wonderful and vibrant little boy, and I'll never let anybody shame me for that. So, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like more videos like this, definitely give this a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Alright guys, so it's around 9 o'clock. Dominic is currently asleep in his room, and I'm getting ready to head to bed myself. I should have edited, but I'm still tired and I'm not having a good time at the moment, so I'm definitely going to edit this this story time tomorrow and get it up for you guys probably tomorrow night. So I'm very anxious for you guys to see this. It's completely out of my comfort zone, but that's what YouTube's about, stepping out of your comfort zone and things like that. So, plus, I mean, I feel like you guys, like, I don't like to say fans, like, my YouTube family. You guys are family, and there are certain things that are okay to share, and, you know, yeah. Because I know you guys, I know, like, a lot of times, like, when people are asking questions, it's not to be nosy, it's because, like, they truly are concerned. It's just about, like, how they're asking and things like that, and a lot of people, I've definitely found within myself, you don't know if you're being offensive until, I guess, like, after the fact, like, you don't realize what you're saying is being offensive. Like, I feel like every human is guilty of that, so, yeah. But I also hope that at the same time of posting this story time, it'll definitely diffuse a lot of the obvious questions and things like that. So, yeah, I'm gonna head to bed. I'm gonna stop chitter-chatting, and yeah.